evening. On behalf of the commissioners and staff, I would like to welcome you to the July 22nd, 2025 City of Roseville Public Utilities Commission meeting. This 7-member commission is responsible for studying and advising the City Council regarding all utilities owned or operated by the city, including electric, water, wastewater, and solid waste. The Public Utilities Commission advises the City Council regarding planning, rates, public information, cable television franchises, and other matters relating to such enterprises, and may also hear citizen complaints as to operation or rates. The Public Utilities Commission also advises the City Council regarding the activities of such joint powers agencies as the city may be a member of or which relate to such utility enterprises. At this time, I'd like to ask that everyone put their electronic devices on silent. Thank you. I would first like to introduce Gus Petroborg as our new commissioner to this Public Utilities Commission. Welcome, Gus.
Thank you.
Karen, will you please call the roll?
Yes. Commissioner DeLacy is absent. Commissioner DeMarchi.
Here.
Commissioner Maish has an excused absence. Commissioner Petroborg.
Here.
Commissioner Springer.
Here.
Commissioner Webb has an excused absence. And then Chair Bielski.
Here.
Perfect.
All right, I'm going to ask Commissioner Petroborg, to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Sorry.
I pledge allegiance to
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right, item 4 on the agenda is public comments. This item is for anyone who would like to address the commission on any item that is not on tonight's agenda. When addressing the commission, please state your first and last name for the record. Anyone? Okay. All right. Item 5.1 is approval of the June 24th, 2025 meeting minutes. Do any of the commissioners have any suggested corrections or clarifications to the minutes at this time? Nope. Is there anyone from the public who would like to come forward and address the commission on this item? Would anyone like to make a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll second.
All right. It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstentions? All right, the minutes are approved. All right, now item 5.2 is selection of chair and vice chair. Next on the agenda is the selection of our chair and vice chair for this commission. In accordance with the city's boards and commissions administrative standards, the chair and vice chair shall be selected annually by the commission. The selected chair and vice chair will assume their positions at the next regular meeting in August. And could our legal counsel please walk us through this process? And before we begin, I guess our question is.
Yeah, we can start this with the main question of, I know we are missing 2 of our commissioners tonight and 2 commissioners which may have an interest in this item. And so one, we have an option of dropping this agenda, renoticing it for the next meeting in August so that we have everybody here in attendance to be able to do this, because the way that we would go through this process is there'd be nominations. There's also, you can self-nominate yourself. So if there was interested parties that were not here tonight, they may have an opportunity to do that. So I'm happy to. You can make that decision, Mr. Chair, as to drop this from the agenda and renotice it in August at the next meeting, or we can move forward and I can get into all the details and procedures.
Do we need a motion to?
You could ask for a motion, absolutely. So you would be looking for a motion to continue item number 5.2.
Okay.
The selection of the chair and the vice chair until our next meeting in August. So would anyone like to make that motion?
I would.
All right, we have a motion and.
I'll second.
We have a second. Is there any discussion before we go forward? Nope. All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so no opposition. So to reiterate, we will take up this matter at the August 22nd?
26th.
26th.
Next month's meeting.
Thank you.
next
August
meeting.
26th.
That sounds
Yeah,
good.
we will, and everything will be renoticed on a future agenda so that we will know well in advance.
All right, thank you for your guidance, Joe.
Thank you.
Item 5.3, Environmental Utilities Monthly Update, report by Environmental Utilities Wastewater Utility Manager Tracy Mueller. Summarizes the monthly status of environmental utilities activities, and this is for information.
Good evening. As you mentioned, I'm Tracy, and I will be providing the environmental utilities update for today. First on the agenda is that we had our 2025 Big Truck Summer Series, and we had record-breaking attendance of 5,600 attendees across the 4 events in June. This was hosted at the Utility Exploration Center, and each week we highlighted a different utility, starting with electric. I can't remember if electric started, but electric, wastewater, solid waste, and water. Families toured the utility trucks, participated in hands-on activities, connected with the staff who keep the city services running. So it was a very fun event. If you've never attended, I definitely recommend it next year. We do it every June. We even had families say that they plan their vacations around that event, which was very cute. Second, our 4th annual youth art contest is now open. This year's theme is Roseville utility trucks in action. We're accepting entries in 4 age groups, with 3 finalists from each group moving to a community choice vote on social media. Winners will be featured in our 2026 calendar, and submissions are due August 6th, and more information is on roseville.ca.us/youthart. Any questions, feel free to. Third one is we recently celebrated our waste services team during Waste and Recycle Workers Week. It was a chance to recognize and dedicate the individuals who keep the Roseville clean, green, and environmentally responsive. We featured staff on social media and launched a new phase of our Beyond the Bend campaign to highlight people and stories behind the services. We also participated in a business walk recently, making connections with the businesses we serve and support in our economic development team during Small Business Month. We use this event to connect with local businesses, listen to their needs, and share resources. Now moving on to water. Construction is underway on 2 aquifer storage and recovery wells in the Misty Woods and Campus Oaks neighborhoods. We drilled the wells last year. We're equipping them now above ground, and these wells are to support our groundwater strategic plan by helping to store and recover groundwater during dry periods. Once online next year, they'll join the 7 existing wells and reduce our reliance on surface water. The city is #1 in the region for lowest residential gallons per capita day due to the good work of our water efficiency team. So out of 20 local agencies, we have the lowest annual average residential gallons per capita use at 66 gallons per day thus far in 2025. And now I get to talk about my utility. We are taking on a project right now that will rehabilitate the 66-inch diameter influent pipe and gate that allow flow into our Dry Creek wastewater treatment plant. Our wastewater collections crew is currently setting up the pipe, valves, and pumping and generators to bypass the 66-inch pipe to allow for entry into the 66-inch pipe for the required work. Our maintenance team has been preparing the gate for replacement, and the collection team is preparing for the pipe coating rehabilitation that are both planned for next week once the pipe is confirmed to be working. The bypass pipe is confirmed to be working over this weekend. This is a project that our staff agreed to take on due to lack of bids we received. We at the wastewater utility are becoming more self-reliant for rehab projects, doing them ourselves due to the bid environment, but also to help save money and time with these projects. And lastly, we recently received 2 new wastewater treatment permits. They become effective September 30th, and we do not anticipate any issues with complying with these new permits.
All right,
that's my update.
Any questions? So I have a question.
Yes.
I lived in Davis forever, and Davis is on wells. They just pumped it out of the ground, and it was, chemical city. So do we filter our well water, or do we treat it in any way?
We do disinfect it, but at most of our wells, we do not have treatment. At some of the new wells, we have treatment, but we have not had to use it yet. So we do not have the same constituents that Davis has in their water.
All right. Thank you so much, Tracy.
Thank you.
All right. All right. Now, so if there's anyone from the public that wanted to come forward and speak on that item. Okay, no one? All right, thank you. Item 5.4 is wastewater utility updates and capital improvement program overview, presentation by Environmental Utilities Manager Tracy Mueller and Principal Engineer Mr. Singh, with an overview of wastewater utility operations and the wastewater utilities capital improvement program updates for information. Okay.
All right. As you mentioned, I'll be presenting this with Arashdeep Singh, our principal engineer in wastewater. We will be giving you an overview of the wastewater utility, what it consists of, what we've been doing lately, and what our capital improvement project program has in it these days. To start with, I want to just give you an overview of the wastewater utility. We have about 130 employees. We have 5 divisions. So we have operations, maintenance, collections, compliance, and engineering, which consists of Arashdeep. We have 2 regional wastewater treatment plants, and by regional, I mean that we treat flow not only for the city, but also for unincorporated portions of Placer County, as well as South Placer Municipal Utility District, so places like Rockland and Loomis and other local areas. So we are permitted for 30 million gallons of average dry water flow, which means the flow in the summertime, because the flow to a treatment plant in the wintertime increases because of inflow and infiltration. So rainwater, unfortunately, does get into our pipes and increases our flow. So we are permitted on the dry weather flow. And so we are currently flowing about 18 million gallons a day to both treatment plants. And we have the 2 treatment plants are the Dry Creek wastewater treatment plant and the Pleasant Grove wastewater treatment plant. The Dry Creek plant was originally constructed in the 1950s and has gone through multiple updates, including an expansion we're working on now that Arashdeep will talk about later. The Pleasant Grove wastewater treatment plant was constructed in 2004 and recently went through a pretty substantial upgrade and completed that in 2023, and I'll talk a little bit about that on a later slide. We also have the wastewater collection system, and so that system is located within the city of Roseville, but portions of that system also the flow from the regional partners because we have the pipes closest to the plants. So we have over 900 miles of gravity pipes and laterals within our system that we maintain. We have 20 lift stations with force mains, and we have over 13,000 manholes. We also have a recycled water system, and so the water that flows through and is treated at the wastewater treatment plants is then put into the recycled water system or into the creeks or both. And so the flow from Dry Creek wastewater treatment plant goes into Dry Creek, and the flow from Pleasant Grove wastewater treatment plant goes into Pleasant Grove Creek. We have storage of 1.2 million gallons. We have over 70 miles of pipe and 3 pump stations. And that is served within the city of Roseville at this time. Our customers on the recycled water system are Roseville Electric is one of our main customers. The golf courses, the parks, the city's streetscapes are generally what use the majority of our recycled water. And I'll talk a little bit about that some more. As I mentioned, we have a compliance group. So we have 2 laboratories, one at Pleasant Grove and one at Dry Creek. They do compliance monitoring and sampling and reporting for both of our wastewater treatment plants, but also for our water treatment plant. And then we have a federally mandated industrial pretreatment program that we run regionally. And that is to help make sure that industrial and commercial customers don't put things down the sewer that would affect our treatment plant and put undue costs onto residential customers. So for the next slide, when we updated the Pleasant Grove wastewater treatment plants in 2023, was from 2020, COVID to 2023, we included digesters, and digesters allow us, they produce methane gas, and methane gas can be reused for many things. Specifically, we reuse it to make compressed natural gas and electricity. We convert it through microturbines for electricity at the Pleasant Grove plant. So I just wanted to give you an update of how well that system is working. It's working very well. We have a location where we can accept high-strength waste at this facility. That's fats, oils, and greases from the commercial customers. I like to say that this is like candy for the digesters, but it's more like beans for the digesters in that it creates a lot more gas for the digesters, making our productivity a lot better. So this year we received about 12% of our feedstock to the digesters were from high-strength waste. So we are using both domestic waste that comes in, the solids, and that high-strength waste to produce the gas. 74% of our biogas produced generated 27% of the power needed at the plant, so we're offsetting our electrical costs and allowing Roseville Electric to use that electricity somewhere else. And then we produced about 4.7 gigawatts of power in fiscal year 25. We averaged filling 212 trucks per fill per month, and that comes out to a little over 100,000 gallons. We sell it to the solid waste utility for $2.50, which is a really good deal if you've looked at gas prices. And so our total revenue is $278,000 to the wastewater utility, and that is because the solid waste utility only has 13 trucks right now. They're awaiting many more trucks to come that will be CNG. So we will be producing less of the biogas into power and more of it into CNG in the future. One of the concerns about wastewater treatment plants is odor, and we built both of these plants kind of remotely when they first were built, but now they have residential built up against them, including a soccer complex at the Pleasant Grove wastewater treatment plant. So recently we have started a pilot on an odor monitoring system. It was a system that actually the landfill has been using, and we learned more about it from them and decided that we would try it too. So we piloted it and put some of those funny looking sensors that you see that look kind of robotic in your picture there at the Pleasant Grove wastewater treatment plant since February. We've had 13 notifications of odor complaints. All of them we have been able to attribute to not being not for the wastewater utility, mostly due to the landfill or fertilization activities that are local. So the system that we're implementing has a model that uses the temperature, the wind, other factors in the atmosphere to help us determine when we get an odor complaint in one location, it can go back and track where that odor came from. So when we reply to odor complaints, we now include a picture of that projection and a nice summary of how we generated that. It also helps us, the system helps us to create heat maps of where there's a lot of sources of odors so that we can be wary of that, which customers are more susceptible to that. And really good thing about the system also is that it can project into a week into the future of when odors might be a problem. And so we can modify our activities that might cause odors in those bad times. So we're trying to modify our working just to avoid odors from the plant as well. So the pilot that we did at Pleasant Grove worked really well. So we are going to go ahead and implement it fully at Pleasant Grove and include it also at Dry Creek in an effort to just build trust with the community and help to minimize our odor complaints. The last slide I have before I switch it over to Rashdeep is just a little bit on our recycled water system. As I mentioned, our recycled water system is from treated water from the wastewater treatment plant. This graph shows you on the top the percentage of water in the green that goes into the recycled water system. So not all of our water, about 76% of our water in July, and depends on how hot it is, and 24 is a little hotter than this July, goes into the recycled water system. The dark red line below, or area below the zero line, is the 4 million gallons a day that we need to put into the creek at Dry Creek. We are required by Department of Fish and Game to put 4 million gallons into the creek every day. So, and then the lighter red shows the available recycled water that we have for other future customers. And so city customers are continuing to build. We're also in negotiations with the county to provide them, potentially provide them recycled water as well. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Rashdeep.
Thank you. I'll be providing an overview of our capital improvement program. You've just heard about our operations, day-to-day operations, and the CIP is how we plan for what's coming up in the future, growth, aging infrastructure, evolving regulations, so that we stay ahead of the curve. I'll walk through how the CIP is structured, what we have planned for fiscal year 26, and highlight a few key projects that we have going on. This table here provides a summary of how the CIP program is divided into 5 different programs, each aligned for specific parts of the wastewater utility, whether it serves just Roseville or the broader South Placer area. The local capacity program focuses on Roseville's collection system, and it's funded by local connection fees when developers pay into that system. The next is the regional capacity program, which covers large-scale infrastructure like treatment plant expansions, regional trunk sewer improvements. These projects are funded through regional connection fees collected by SPWA, our Joint Powers Authority. And I'll cover a little bit, provide a short overview of SPWA in the next slide. We also have 2 rehab and replacement programs, which are items 3 and 5 up there. One for the collection system and another one for the treatment plants, both funded by customer rates. For treatment plant rehabs, SPWA partners also share in the cost. Last but not least, item number 4 is a recycle water program. So the developers build on-site purple pipe when they do a development, and but the city funded improvements like pump station improvements or storage expansions are paid for with an agreed upon developer fee included in the developer agreement. Next. Since I mentioned the regional capacity program, I wanted to briefly explain the SPWA, the South Placer Wastewater Authority, and its role in funding the regional projects. SPWA is a financing entity formed by the City of Roseville, South Placer Municipal Utility District, and Placer County. It doesn't own or own any assets, but is involved in funding only. Capital costs are allocated for each agency based on the proportionate share of treatment capacity that they've agreed upon. So for Roseville, that's 60% of the treatment capacity. SP Mud is roughly 26%, and Placer County is roughly 14%. As the managing agency, City of Roseville manages all SPWA-funded projects. Next. So our projected fiscal year 26 CIP budget totals to about $62 million, allocated across all 5 programs. Given the continued growth in the area, treatment plant capacity is the largest, has the highest allocation at $28.7 million. A lot of it is dedicated to treatment plant capacity projects. And some of the major efforts include, our new maintenance building at Pleasant Grove, which will accommodate increasing staff and maintenance needs. We're also doing a Dry Creek wastewater treatment plant expansion that Tracy alluded to earlier, and I'll provide a more detailed update on that project, shortly. The next largest category is the treatment plant rehab and replacement program, roughly $16.2 million. Some of the key projects in that fund include the motor controls center and switchgear, electrical gear replacement, which was past its useful life and needed to be replaced. And then we are also working on an influent improvement project, which will replace some coarse screens with more finer screens to mitigate ragging issues throughout the plant, which generate a lot of maintenance activities, and also better prepare us for wet weather situations. And then the combined collection system programs, both capacity and rehab, total to about $15.7 million. Next slide. This slide shows the number of projects planned for fiscal year 26. We're managing roughly 40 active projects, and the largest share, again, is the treatment plant program and the R&R. But the collection system program is also very active, specifically the collection system rehab and replacement. It reflects our commitment to system longevity and reliability. And then next we'll highlight a few of our key ongoing projects. Next slide. The wastewater treatment plant capacity evaluation is a planning project to make sure both plants, Pleasant Grove and Dry Creek, can continue serving the region reliably as sewer flows increase in the future. As part of this project, we worked with our SPWA partners to develop growth projections in the SPWA service area. Then another part of the project was to develop a computer model for both plants using operational data. And we used the growth projections and the computer models to run simulations and identify bottlenecks at the plants so that we could be targeted in our investments in the future. As the modeling work is now complete, we're refining our results and confirming the accuracy of our simulations. And the final facilities plans is expected by the year's end. And that'll help us with the capital planning in the future. Next. Creek wastewater treatment plant capacity expansion project is a design and construction project funded by SPWA. It specifically is focused on expanding our secondary treatment capacity at Dry Creek. It was identified early on in our capacity evaluation project as because our secondary capacity at our treatment plant is roughly 80%. So we're doing this project ahead of time just to stay ahead of the needs. A primary component of the project is repurposing concrete tanks that were originally built in the 70s. So we're repurposing them so that we could save costs on and add capacity at the same time, because new tanks are very expensive, on excavation and reinforced concrete and all. We're also including targeted electrical improvements on this project, which address voltage constraints We have 5 kV going to some of our equipment, and we're going to address that. And we're also installing new gear to support added load. The expansion design is underway, and we're targeting contractor procurement by early 2026. Next slide. So the Pleasant Grove wastewater treatment plant UV capacity expansion project expanding the ultraviolet disinfection system at our Pleasant Grove plant, just to ensure that we continue meeting the disinfection requirements as flows increase at our plant. The plant uses UV light to disinfect treated wastewater before it's discharged into Pleasant Grove Creek. The project added equipment to a fourth channel, which wasn't equipped but was built, and upgraded supporting components to that channel. And we're happy to share with you that the project is now complete, and that it was delivered roughly $1 million underneath the forecasted budget. So, with that, we conclude our presentation, and we're happy to take any questions.
Thank you. Is there any questions? I'm sorry, is there anyone from the public who would like to come forth and address the commission on this item? Okay. Any questions from the commission?
I have a question for Tracy. On the odor monitoring, aside from looking out, knowing you can modify the work to lessen the odor, what else can really be done?
We can prove that the odor doesn't come from us, which is a huge community benefit, and that that communities aren't continuing to point fingers at us. We have some very loud people local to the
Sensitive receptors.
Yes, thank you. Local to the wastewater treatment plant that continue to complain, and this now gives us an ability to show that it's actually not us, that there is a landfill or there are fertilization activities within the community that are causing those odors.
Okay.
So it's also was a big. The soccer complex being next door also was a big reason why we piloted it specifically at Pleasant Grove, in that Parks has spent a lot of money there, has asked us to not create any problems with odors there. So the forecasting will help us with that as well, to make sure we're minimizing as much odor. I mean, they're right next door to us. So, yeah. We don't want to be that soccer complex that says, oh, yeah, there's the wastewater treatment plant. We'd like them to think we're a water treatment plant.
So the creek over here off of Riverside, is that Dry Creek or Linda Creek where all the construction's going on?
Oh, on Church Street?
Well, no, if you went down Vern and then turned left onto Riverside, and then you're going down Riverside toward the freeway. And then I guess I'm curious, that creek is always running, no matter what time of the year.
I think it's one.
That might be a tributary to Dry Creek.
What about the
It's a-
BMX track?
Yeah, I think it's Linda Creek.
Okay, and then I noticed Dry Creek, when you go down Sunrise South, the foliage is luxuriant, and I assume that is from the amount of treated wastewater that's being poured into the creek, or?
Depending on where on Sunrise, probably not from the wastewater treatment plant. Because I'm trying to think because where we discharge to would probably be downstream of that.
Further downstream, okay, and then, of course, I see the salmon habitat signs. Is there an issue with discharge and salmon?
No, we are actually required to discharge, not necessarily because of the salmon, but to create habitat ability for aquatic life in general.
Thank you.
Yeah. It's Fish and Game that require us through our CEQA process to discharge into the creek, not our permit, not anything else, but just through the CEQA process. It was an agreement made between us and the Department of Fish and Game.
All right, any other questions? All right. Thank you both.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Item 5.5, Roseville Electric Utility Monthly Update, report by Roseville Electric Chief Operating Officer Sean Matcham, summarizing the monthly status of electric utility activities for information.
Yes, good evening, Chair Bilski. Sean Matcham, Chief Operating Officer for the Electric Utility. I should thank Tracy first she mentioned the big trucks at the Utility Exploration Center. We always get beat out by the garbage and waste trucks, so we bring out a lot of cool equipment for the electric utility. We believe our trucks are pretty cool, but we always get beat out with the garbage trucks. So she mentioned the attendance at the UEC for big trucks. A lot of it is due to the garbage trucks, and so every year we strive to do better. So maybe next year we'll do more and help with the attendance. But we get to see the intra-utility competition results on that, and yeah, we're going to step up our game here next year. I have a few items here as an update for the commission, and we don't have a prepared presentation this evening here, and so I'll touch on a number of items. The first item I wanted to mention really is what I'll call kind of a summer status update. I think last month, June, when I was here, I mentioned that it was a pretty mild June, and here we are here in late June or late July now, a month later, and it remains pretty mild summer so far. Temperatures for the balance of the month pretty mild. Certainly, what we didn't project these side of temperatures here late in July. And I just mentioned that because we keep close attention on our resource portfolio, the diverse resources that we have to serve the community, that generation fleet, the transmission resources we all have. And so just wanted to say, pretty mild from operating an electric utility so far through the summer, June and July now. We have our entire generation portfolio in place and in order, which is what we always strive to do this time of year. Outside some minor derates that are not uncommon, we're ready for high temperatures and high loads. They just haven't showed up yet. And so a month ago I said, let's see what July and August have in store. And so here I am a month later, let's see what August and September has in store. We have seen typically hotter temperatures later in the summer, so that's what we're thinking could happen here so far this year. But in terms of, just to recap, in terms of our position where we stand and ready to serve the community in the hot temperatures and high loads, we're all ready to go. The system's ready to go. The fleet's ready to go. With that said, I will say maybe one of the themes that we're focused on at the department is what I'll call getting ready for October. And I just want to mention a few things that we're focused on at the department related to October and why that's kind of coming into focus for us already. We do have a scheduled routine outage for our Roseville Energy Park. This is our main generating facility, as you are aware. We will be doing the scheduled maintenance on the steam turbine of the Roseville Energy Park. As a reminder, that facility is configured where there are two combustion turbines, and then that produces steam for a steam turbine to produce electricity, as well as the two combustion turbines. And so when we do maintenance on the steam turbine, we lose the entire facility because we can't discharge steam without running it through the steam turbine. So our entire REP will be down in October, scheduled to be down. And so there's a lot of work at the utility now to get all the contracts in place, all the vendors in order to get the Siemens team converging on Roseville for what is a pretty meaningful maintenance item here. The steam turbine doesn't get, it's on a cycle, I think it's every 5 years. And so we'll get to do that here in October. And so all the work and the prep work that's needed for that is in order and doing well. We also, in October, have scheduled to take down our second power plant, the Roseville Power Plant number 2, and this is to advance a project you are all familiar with and that I've mentioned before. We call it the repower. We're repowering that facility. We're taking out the 40-year-old units, the equipment. We're going to bring in newer state-of-the-art units. And so this is with the DWR partnership, if you will. They're located in Yuba City. We're going to bring them here to Roseville. So work will begin on that project in October as well. And I'll just say there's been a lot of effort underway at the utility for that as well. We've brought on some additional support through an owner's engineer contract that we recently took to council. So all the prep work to get that site ready for deconstruction in October is underway. As a reminder, we're going to begin work, plan is beginning of October, and have the unit facility back in June by summer of next year. So I just want to report that work's going well. We have all the resources that we need right now in order. We did move some things through council over the last month and a half to help support and supplement the staff efforts on that. Related to that, we did have an opportunity to go up to the Yuba City site where the location of the units are last, I think it was Wednesday or Thursday, to kick the tires, take a look, get the units up and running, understand how they've been operated over the last few years there. As you know, these are precisely the same units as we have at the Roseville Energy Park, the ones we acquired from DWR. So we will have some continuity around those operations. So that's also all happening starting in October. If we need to pause that because temperatures are high and consumption loads are high, we have the flexibility to do that, but that decision is going to be more of a real-time decision when we get closer to the period. So big part of our internal generation plan to be down in October with those two projects at the REP and at RPP2. And so not lost on us is the need to cover those positions. We call it cover those positions without loss of that capacity. We have locked down supplemental purchases to cover that and give us optionality if we need it later in October. There's always a little risk of temperatures and loads creeping up in early October. I think we get beyond mid-October, we're good, but so we're also doing that. So I called it getting ready for October. That's a lot of things that are happening in the department for getting ready for October. Next thing I'll mention is an item that I don't think we've talked too much about before, but it is now occupying a lot of effort and focus of the various teams in the department, as well as our city attorney's office. And it's related to our efforts to develop jointly with an independent developer a local solar and battery project here in Placer County, a renewable project, solar and battery storage that would be delivered here to our electric system here for us to serve the community. This item has really moved to the front of the line for us. It's something that we've been assessing in one form or another for the last year and a half, a project that kind of bubbled to the surface out of a request for offers that we issued as part of a public solicitation for renewable energy. That was late 23, early 24. And so, again, for the last year and a half, we've really been assessing this project. Is it viable? Does it make sense to develop it? And I just wanted to maybe a quick preview on where we are. Now that the other projects related to the acquisition of the DWR units at the REP, the repower work is underway for RPP2. This next resource decision is the one that has moved to the front of the line for us. And so we've, over the last 3 or 4 months, there's been a lot of work with the developer that bid into our request for offers to really nail down pricing, agree on fundamental principles for how we would buy into this project, initial discussions on, or not more than initial, but meaningful discussions on terms and conditions on what the legal documents need to look like. We call them a power purchase agreement, an interconnection agreement in our space. So all that has been working in the background, but it's really come to the forefront for a number of reasons. One is it's now moved to the next priority for us organizationally beyond the other resource decisions. And then because some of the action back in Washington, D.C. that Congress took with respect to the big beautiful bill and its treatment of the incentive tax credits on renewable energy and renewable technologies. Therefore, many months, as you can imagine, there was some uncertainty about what the viability and the existence of some of these investment tax credits, where they were going, what was happening was all uncertainty. And so it put the assessment of renewable projects and investing in them kind of in question. So now that there is some clarity about what the rules are, we're moving forward with and we believe we have a path forward to reach agreement to develop this project. And we're close on pricing and things like that. But I just wanted to bring it up because it's a very important project for us. It will also add, like the gas fleet, it will add generating capacity to our portfolio. It will also help us meet the renewable requirements of the state that we all need to meet. And then as we contemplate bringing new technology like with batteries and things like that, it is a quick option for us to add capacity to meet the needs of a growing community. And so I just wanted to mention that project. The basic construct of it is a developer will develop, own, and operate the battery and solar facility on a land lease that they have with a landowner, and then we basically buy the output of the production from the facility. And so the process for moving forward with a power purchase agreement is important, kind of milestone and catalyst for the project because we are the only off-taker as it's being proposed for the project. So as a project like that seeks to move forward and meet development milestones, having a known purchaser of the project under a secured power purchase agreement allows the developer then to move forward and take the risk that they need to take, knowing that we're on the other side to buy. So I just wanted to mention that. It may have come up before, but we're making meaningful progress on that. And at this point, I think we'd expect, barring some unforeseen incident here, I think we're on a path to reach agreement and bring something to our council, and we'll certainly brief the commission on it here, in the months to come before the end of the year. So we're excited about it. We think it's going to be beneficial for us, but the numbers have to work. And so that's something we're working on. And I'll bring that up is because we've done a lot on our gas fleet. We've added capacity. We've made important investments to make those resources more reliable, cleaner, more cost effective. And now we're turning our attention to other technologies to meet the regulatory requirements and diversifying our portfolio. And so that's where we are with that. More to come, but I think we're in a good spot now, and we believe we have a path forward, but more details to get worked out. Another item I'll mention, and I touched on this last month, but there's been some important progress on it from the department's perspective, and it's really on the finance side of the house. I had mentioned that we were preparing to issue for the first time in 20 years since we built the Roseville Energy Park. We were getting all geared up at the utility to go out and have a debt issuance, issue bonds, tax-exempt municipal bonds, to help finance some of the larger capital costs that we have in the utility. Contributing to that is the repower project that we have at RPP2. And so I know I mentioned it last time, but I'll just say since the last meeting, we've had a chance to get an RFP out for underwriter that will help support the marketing of the bonds. We've engaged meaningfully with our financial advisor, PFM, and our own city department here, finance department, to make sure we have the members of the team in order to go out and do a debt issuance. We're looking in that $75 million space, which is notable, but certainly we can handle that, no problem. We've also, related to that, had some meaningful conversations with two of the three rating agencies over the last month, Fitch Ratings and Moody's, to make sure that everything is in order from their ratings review for us, basically our credit rating as a business, as an organization. And so since we last met, Fitch did come back. It takes several months to go through this rating review, but Fitch did come back and affirm our AA rating, which is great. That's top tier rating. It allows us to access capital at the cheapest interest rates. So that's come back. That's going to be very helpful as we go out to issue debt here at the beginning of next year. We are currently engaged with Moody's, one of the other rating agencies, to answer some of their questions and clarify some things I think that they were looking through their lens incorrectly at the utility. And then Standard & Poor's will be working with them here shortly too. The reason I bring up the rating agencies is because when we go out to issue the bonds, we're going to lean on these folks to tell the prospective buyers of our bonds really our credit rating and our financial position. And again, we have top tier rating for that, and that's why we like to maintain that. We're going to go out and get the best rate we can for our customers as we go out and issue that debt. So we're still on track for that. More to come, but good work so far by our finance team, and we're assembling the overall team for that issuance, and also preparing all the necessary documents. One of the main documents is called a preliminary official statement, and it's basically a disclosure agreement or disclosure document about how the organization's structured, how our business is, our financial outlook, our governance, all our assets, and so it takes a bit of effort to go through that, and so we're working through that as well. The last thing I'll mention is a pilot program that we embarked on in part at the end of last year, and it is a residential demand response program. And this is, you hear me talk so much about the supply side of the house in terms of making sure we have the resource stack in order and we can meet that peak demand in the summer. One of the other tools that we've really also started to focus on is the demand side. Are there ways we can control or manipulate the demand on the system to dampen that peak load so we don't need as much capacity? We've always had a very informal demand response program with our commercial customers, including environmental utilities and their wastewater treatment facilities. And we've also needed to do more on the residential side. So on the residential side, at the beginning of the year, we began marketing a thermostat program with our residential customers. This is essentially a program that allows us to change the temperature in their house. They enroll, voluntarily do this. We don't just do this on our own. And so we compensate them through the program. They get annual payment and an enrollment payment. And for that, for select periods of time, we get to go ahead and turn up their AC during that time when we need in the middle of the summer at about 5 o'clock in the day. And so before establishing this pilot program, most of our residential demand response came through our just communications and outreach in the community. Please conserve, it's hot, things like that. And you really can't count on that. And so we launched a pilot program and we tested it in May and in June. We have about 1,100 devices under it already. And just testing it late June, we were able to shave 2 megawatts off loads in June. And I'll say, that's notable. That's noticeable and important. And so what we saw was pretty good responsiveness on that and really no customer impact. We had a very low opt-out rate. A customer can turn off the thermostat, they can override it, and we see that. We get visibility to that. So customers enrolled. Customers had a very low opt-out rate. And so it was a great pilot, and the path ahead is I think we're going to do more of it and expand the program. And I mention it because it is also part of what we call our integrated resource plan, looking at both sides of the equation, the supply side, the demand side. And so having an effective demand response program as a tool in the toolbox, very helpful for us to help keep costs down for customers if we can just manipulate that load at that 5 o'clock, 5:30 on August 25th. It's very valuable. And particularly when you look at the adverse impacts that any scenario can have on, like, taking out some of our resources if we have a forced outage or we have a transmission derate, having a little bit of ability to move the load in the community is tremendously helpful. So I just want to report on that. We wrapped up the pilot at the end of June. The program still exists. We can still run today. But going forward, we're going to throw a little more money at it. We're going to do a little more marketing, do more outreach, and get a little more residential customers to sign up for that, and hopefully get the ability to change load a little bit more when we need to. That will complement what's already has been a little more formalized demand response program with EU on their waste management facilities. So we did also historically have a more casual relationship where we would call and give them a heads up. They would adjust where they could. We wanted to put some structure and compensation around that, being fair to their cost as well. So that's something internally within the city, and we actually between EU and electric, we were able to solidify as well. So that was good as we look at demand tools to manage load as well. So those are the few items I wanted to just highlight for the commission. No secondary presentation here tonight for the electric department, but that reflects some of the more meaningful efforts we've got going on right now. And yeah, we're excited. Work's going well, and summer's been going good, and got a lot of work going on though. So I'll stop there with that. I'm glad to answer any questions on those 6 items or anything else really on the electric utility.
I have a quick question. Is the pilot program for the thermostat control still going?
It is still going, yes.
Okay, and when we hit those 100-plus degree days, is that when people opted out?
Yeah, so what an opt-out looks like is when they override effectively, yes. So if you get in and you see that we've turned down, like from, say, 4 to 7, we've turned up your AC a couple degrees. When a customer overrides the thermostat, that's considered an opt-out in that day. And so our opt-out rates have been very low. So the customer still has full control, but if they're in and we declare the need to have a demand response event, which we only tested it twice since we had it in place, that's how an override occurs.
Okay.
What is the increase in, how much do you increase the temperature?
Yeah, so this is getting into a more deeper spot thing. I understand it's a 2-degree adjustment. And then there is part of the pilot that we looked at was a pre-cooling earlier in the day, or maybe 2 hours before, so that you could flow. You may not have to turn down the AC later in, like the hour or 2 later as well. So we've toyed with a few options like that, but yeah, we can, I think it's 2 degrees and is what we would move it up. And then we've piloted the pre-cooling where we would drop it a little and then not touch it through later in the day as well. We don't have a plan, I don't think, to pre-cool, but that was just part of the pilot, but we will move it, I'm going to say 2 degrees. Yeah.
So on the energy park, has there been scoping done or siting where it would be located, the solar farm?
The solar, yeah, there has been quite a bit of work, and I'll just make an important distinction here. When I say a developer has proposed to build the project and sell the output to us. So Roseville Electric or the city of Roseville isn't the front line developing the project. It's a developer working with a landowner, working with the county to get all the necessary permits, environmental work, and that. So that has been ongoing with the developer for this property here in South Placer County, about 1.5 miles from where our Roseville Power Plant number 2 is.
Okay, all right, that makes sense.
Yeah, the arrangement here is we will be the off-taker, but through the competitive solicitation that we issued 1.5 years ago, we got a number of bids for renewable energy. We actually executed on one of those proposals. Shell Energy proposed a 10.5-year renewable contract with us. That was a $75 million plus deal that we took to council back in, maybe late last year. And there was other proposals, but this one was a proposal from a generator to basically build a project for our sole purpose and sell it to us, and it had appeal, so we're looking into that.
Any other questions? Okay. Anyone from the public like to come forth and address the commission on this item? All right, okay, thanks, Sean.
Yeah.
All right, let's see, board member, commissioner, staff reports. Next on the agenda is board member, commissioner, or staff reports. Any reports from staff? Doesn't look like it. Joe, you got anything? Nope, okay. Questions or comments from the commission? Okay, just want to extend a welcome again to Gus.
Thank you.
And thank you to the staff again for coming month after month faithfully. All right. Are there any proposed future agenda items? Does anyone have any items that they would like to suggest for future meetings?
I noticed that in October, and I don't know if these are carry forwards from the May, but we've got some focus on legislative regulatory updates. Do we have bills, legislative bills that we'll be introduced or we'll be looking at that point?
Do, and we have, how often? Are they quarterly? Do we get a legislative report?
Looking at this calendar, we did one in May, and we're going to do another one in October. There's typically at least twice a year. Both the Roseville Electric and our Environmental Utilities Department, which is water, wastewater, solid waste, they have dedicated employees that do legislative and regulatory work, and those are their periodic updates to the commission about what they've been working on. So yeah, you'll hear about dozens of different bills that would affect the utilities on a
Sure, they
regular
get
basis.
swamped when they.
Yes.
Where could I find the bills that we would be looking at?
We can get that.
Do we know those?
Yes, we
Yes.
do, and it's
Because
Get a
there's
copy.
3,000, I think, that got introduced this last
Yeah.
session, and try and filter through to see those. I don't know which ones are. on
Yeah, they
people's
pull
radar.
them, when I first came to Sacramento, I did, legislation. And so you start, every session like this, and then they whittle
Yeah.
down. And so they get down to, oh gosh, maybe a couple of dozen bills that are, that are watch or follow or support, or we used to say kill bills.
It'd be prudent for us to know what those are at
Right,
this point.
right, yeah, definitely. Some of the bills, and I was glad to hear, I guess, on our methane gas generation, that's not a fossil fuel, that's a byproduct, so we're not under that thing. The big one we're still reckoning with is the green waste, the kitchen waste, the third can.
Organic.
Yeah, so that's one that we're kind of still under the gun. And then getting our trucks to be, we've got an exemption, I think, on one of the bills that required our trucks to be 100% non-fossil fuel using. So that's kind of the big hot potato items. What I find is the legislature, each city in California is an entity unto its own, and we're a very well-run, efficient city. And so some legislator says, oh, we need to do this. And they tend to take a blanket approach, assuming that everyone is alike and everybody operates the same way. And we've got our own power. We've had it for a long time. So I think that many times is a conflict with legislation. That's why a lot of bills die. And then, of course, there are a lot of bills that are just placeholder bills where a legislator who wants to be sure he gets something to committee just puts something out there, require that doorknobs be at, 47 inches or something. And that's a placeholder bill. But, yeah. And the leg staff is very, very astute, and they're happy to, go over all the legislation and answer questions.
Yeah, we'll get a copy of their most recent report to the Public Utilities Commission and get it over to you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Anything else? Okay. Well, I guess we'll keep cool. And I need a motion to adjourn.
Motion?
Second? Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you all.